Good evening, Tommy here, and Final Fantasy is a world full of monsters, evil villains, and diabolical plots. In tonight's video, we're going to be exploring one such villain and one such plot. The villain is Astos, the Dark Elf. Stay tuned. And our little story time begins here with Matoya the Witch. She claims that her eye has been missing, or rather somebody stole it. She can't see a thing without her eye, which would prevent her ability of making potions. But who could have stolen it from her? This is the Pixel Remaster version that I'm playing here, and the earliest spot I've learned to find the truth for this is with the dwarves. The dwarves can be found here on Mount Druagar. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And you'll want to talk to one of them, I believe this guy right here, who will tell you that with a crystal eye, even the blind can see. I hear that the dark elf Astos nicked the one belonging to Matoya. So we learn that Astos the dark elf is the one who stole Matoya's crystal eye, but why? We know that Matoya the witch can create powerful potions, with supposedly the power to do just about anything. Our next destination is going to be Elfheim. Let's travel there to learn more of the story. Once in Elfheim, the citizens here will practically be begging the Warriors of Light for assistance in finding Astos the Dark Elf. His evil doesn't stop at stealing the crystal eye. It continues even here in Elfheim, where we learn that the Prince of the Elves was put under a curse and has been sleeping for the past 5 years. A curse in which he cannot awake from. If we travel up here and talk to the healer, we'll learn that the prince has slept under Astos' curse for 5 years now. There must be a concoction that can rouse one who sleeps so. But where? So it sounds like Matoya's potions could probably do the trick, if we're piecing this together. We learn from this NPC that the Dark Elf King Astos stole into the castle and placed a curse on the prince. Then Astos carted away the castle's treasures. We know that there's an elven prince, but what about the elven king? He's more talked about in the Famicom version of Final Fantasy I. But I'd like to think that Astos probably did something to the Elven King as well. Perhaps murdered him? Let's keep going and find out. So here we are in the town of Elfheim, and nobody seems to know, after Astos the Dark Elf caused all this mayhem and mischief, put the prince to sleep, supposedly ended the king, and stole away a lot of the castle's treasures. Nobody seems to know where Astos the Dark Elf has gone. One more thing we want to check on here. There's one more NPC with some very important information about this case, and he's right over here. Well, maybe not about this case, but something we want to piece together. If the prince does not awaken, there will be no elf king. We will be at the mercy of the dark elf's power. Yes, indeed. On a journey I once took to the west, I wandered into an ancient castle. Not a soul could be found inside. The whole place gave me the creeps, so I got out as fast as I could. In order for us to continue our journey, we're going to be heading to those ruins. But what were they? We're going to head north to those ruins right now, and we know that there's elves, regular elves, and we know that there's a dark elf, at least one dark elf. But the only thing we have about them is that there's Astos, the dark elf, and supposedly he's a king. Well, king of what? Well, there's no dialogue in the game that helps us know what this place is. However, this ruined keep, I believe, to be the kingdom of the Dark Elves. Maybe this is where Astos' hatred for the regular elves came from. Maybe there was a war a long time ago, and the elves seemingly wiped the Dark Elves out, and this ruined keep, along with Astos himself, is all that remains of their forgotten civilization. Here we find a king on the throne, claiming to be the Elven King. I was tricked by Astos, king of the Dark Elves, and now my castle has fallen into ruin. If I could only retrieve the crown from the marsh cave, I would be able to restore my castle. Might you bring me the crown? So this version here of the king claims that this was their castle, but we know that Elfheim already has a castle. So what is this mysterious place that we're in now? Again, I believe it to be the lost civilization of the Dark Elves, all that's left. So the king, supposed king, wanted us to come to the marsh caves in order to find the crown. But why would it be here? Well, if you take a look at the layout of the marsh cave, it seems to be more of a treasure house rather than a dungeon. There's just room after room of treasures here. My theory is that after the king of the Dark Elves was slain, and his crown wasn't stolen. It looks like Astos probably made off with quite a number of things, but did not quite get his hands on that crown. I think what the elves did is they brought it here for safekeeping, as to keep the Dark Elves' hands off of it. Whoever has this crown apparently can rule over the elves. After obtaining the crown, we learn that it is a crown that shimmers mysteriously. Supposedly, this is the crown that came from the King of the Elves' head. I believe that whoever holds this crown has some sort of power over the elves. Yeah, I got beat up in that last battle. That's okay, though. So now we're going to go ahead and bring the crown back to the king so we can watch as the story unfolds. After obtaining the crown and bringing it back to the supposed king, we learn that it was all a diabolical plot. This king was none other than Astos the Dark Elf, who tricked the Warriors of Light into going in and heading into the marsh caves in order to obtain the crown for him. I am Astos, the king of the Dark Elves. Was it really his plan to rule over Elfheim and become the new Elven King? With the combined power of the crown you now hold and the crystal eye I already possess, I will become the true Elf King. So it seems that yes, that was his goal, or at least one of them. It is useless to resist me. I can take what is mine by sheer force. It seems as though that he's under the impression that he would be very powerful as long as he was able to obtain both items, or at least get them close together. After defeating Astos the Dark Elf, we obtain Matoya's crystal eye. We should bring it back to her and see if there's any way that we could possibly raise the curse that's been placed on the Elven Prince. After heading back to Matoya's cave and giving her back her stolen crystal eye, we learn that she has something to give us in exchange. Take this potion. It's the most amazing potion in my entire collection. So she had a collection of potions, and she gives us the Jolt Tonic. What is the Jolt Tonic? It's a serum to break even the deepest sleep. It's almost as if she knew exactly what trouble we were in and exactly how to fix it. She knew exactly what potion to give us. Interesting. It's almost like she didn't even need her crystal eye, really. I mean, she needed it back to see, of course, but not to make us the potion because it was already made. Perhaps with the power of the crystal eye, she was able to see that the prince was sleeping under a curse, and that Jolt Tonic was just the thing we needed to break it. Now, why is this video continuing? Well, because even though Astos the Dark Elf is dead and has been slain, there's still one other plot, that we want to talk about. So coming into the Elven Kingdom, supposedly killing the king, taking off with all of the treasures of the castle, or at least most of them, placing the prince under a spell of deep sleep, and tricking the warriors of light into heading into the marsh cave to obtain the crown from him. All in a plot to take over Elfheim and become the true elf king. But that's not all. So did he truly want the crown so that he could become the king of the elves? If you take a look at your inventory, even after all is said and done and you've woken up the prince, we still have the crown in our inventory. We didn't give it back to the prince. The prince didn't need this crown in order to become the king. He only needed to wake up. So what did we actually need the crown for? What was so important about this crown that Astos the Dark Elf had to have it? Well, if you come to the Citadel of Trials, if you travel here and talk to this old man, he will mention to you that you've brought him the crown. You've come bearing the crown, I see. Now, what's so significant about the Citadel of Trials? Well, these are the trials that the dragons would undergo in order to prove their bravery, in order to prove their worth. And the Warriors of Light come here in order to obtain a very special item that grants them a class change from Bahamut, the dragon. As you can see from the dialogue here, the one holding this crown's fortitude cannot be questioned. Anyone bearing the crown has rights to come here and obtain the item within the Citadel of Trials and pass Bahamut's trial in order to undergo a class change. Was it perhaps Astos' ambition to come here? Sure, he wanted to become the true elf king. He wanted to rule over the lands. But I think that he wanted more. I think he wanted to come here to the Citadel of Trials. I think he wanted to pass the trials and stand before Bahamut and undergo a class change. A class change that would have made him so powerful that he could have changed the world. Perhaps his ultimate goal was to obtain this class change from Bahamut, obtain this power, and maybe even march on to Cornea, or more. Luckily, the Warriors of Light were there to stop him in the end. And there you have it, Astos the Dark Elf. An underrated villain, to be sure. Underrated, yet very diabolical. His schemes could have potentially taken over. His schemes could have had him potentially take over the entire world. Had he figured out the power of the crystals, on top of everything else, who knows what might have befallen the world of Final Fantasy. But again, I say, thank goodness the Warriors of Light were there to put an end to him. And thank goodness he miscalculated how powerful that crystal eye would have made him. Perhaps it did give him some strength. Perhaps it did make him a little stronger, but not strong enough to deal with the forces of light. Thank you all for joining me in this video. I hope you liked it. Please consider subscribing for more, and we'll see you again in the next one. Have a good night.